Hi, and welcome back to David Pattinson's Accused Friends. Today I want to ask the question of whether the current health crisis will kill off false accusations. To answer this question, I want to say no in the beginning, but yes over the medium to longer term, and I want to use this video to explain why. So there's been a whole raft over the last few years of these Me Too claims and women coming forward to say they're being harassed and assaulted by their employer or employers at work, and it's an unsafe work environment. And there's been genuine allegations interspersed with a lot of false accusations and false allegations, and these accusers have been totally pandered to by the media, by the justice system, and it's kind of how I got started, talking about all these things. I want to say that because of the current crisis in the country, you will have noticed that a lot of these accusations and sensationalized stories have totally disappeared out of the news. There's no stories about nurses coming forward to say, hey, my supervisor was leering at me, or I felt uncomfortable when my doctor asked me to go and save a dying patient. I think there's a lot of women, key worker women, that long for the days where men were leering at them compared to the highly stressful and pressurized work environments that a lot of the key workers are facing at the present time. The priority, obviously, is saving lives and getting key supplies to people. And, people who have workplace grievances, it's just not a priority right now. And it kind of it highlights for me, we make these laws to protect women, and then when we reach the point where these laws are being weaponized and used to exploit men or people in positions of authority and threaten their livelihood, I have a very big problem with that. And of course, in these times, people are just looking to get through the crisis and survive, limit the damage as best they can. So, workplace grievances have totally disappeared and will disappear, for the foreseeable future as a point of national priority. Where I think this will shift to is this issue of violence within the home. A lot of the British people have been placed under house arrest, which I've talked about my opposition to. I've got no problem with British people, using their good judgment to voluntarily self-isolate. But when their freedoms and civil liberties are snatched from them, I think someone has to speak up and say that's not acceptable. However, with a lot of people confined to their home, there's a lot of pressure on families, not just with constant proximity, but with rising financial pressures. They can't go out and earn a living, and they're going to be becoming more and more dependent, if not totally dependent, on government, and dwindling government resources just to survive. It's going to put a lot of pressure on people, and it's inevitable that violence will occur. I think that again, how much time has the government got now to go in and prosecute all these cases? Obviously, if men are any subject to any household violence, no one's going to have time to prosecute that. And I think it's going to be except in the most extreme cases where women are going to be defended by the government with issues of violence, because it's just going to be too widespread. The government's getting shorter and shorter on cash with each passing day. The only way the government can get money is through taxation from the people or borrowing it. And the taxation is going to dry up because no one's out there earning. So I think that to summarize really the title of the video, we're going to move from workplace allegations to household allegations, but I think there's a lowering priority to prosecute both. This is very bad news for the Crown Prosecution Service and the legal industry that have made so much money on exploiting these grievances between men and women. And it's kind of times like this where we look back and we say, surely that money that we wasted on prosecuting all these grievances could have maybe been better spent on hospital beds, on doctors, and building new hospitals and preparing for a worst case health scenario. It's easy to be wise after the fact, but you've always got to look at the money you're spending as a society and say, is this the best use for us? And obviously there's arguments either way. So I think in the future, depending on how bad, or the future of the next few years, depending on how bad the economic collapse becomes, and I think it'll be significant, the priorities of workplaces and gender relations are going to change a lot. Women are going to decide that they need a man for survival. There's not going to be any, very, very minimal talk about things like the future is female and strong and independent women and women can do it all. Those kind of talks are just going to kind of be disappearing off the front pages of the newspaper. It's going to be about couples coming together to survive and thrive together. And, I think we're entering a period of much healthier gender relations, and we'll look back on all these, false accusations as being a real stain on the character of our country. I think British men overall treat British women, exceedingly well. And, there's a lot of British women out there that treat men exceedingly well. And it's a shame that there's so much of an attempt by the government and by the feminist movement to divide men and women from each other. There'll be a lot of women in isolation right now with no husband or no boyfriend. And, I think they'll be feeling, not good. And, I hope these events can bring society together and create a lot more social cohesion and social loyalty. And we can get back to building strong families where there's trust between men and women. So I hope you like this video. Obviously, events are unfolding every passing day. But, I think this is an issue that's going to evolve in the news and in the popular culture, and look forward to talking with you more about it soon. So thanks very much.